So today we got our very first trailer relating to anything Black Ops 4 Zombies related, and I do know we have some footage for zombies, but those aren't really trailers. They're more like intro cutscenes and little teasers, so this would be our very first trailer ever. Now I do find it strange that they are releasing trailers ahead of Comic-Con, because I thought they would wait till Comic-Con to release all these trailers, because right now it just feels really random. I just don't know exactly why. Not that I really mind at all, but I do find it a little bit strange. But what this trailer actually focuses on is the new storyline, which they dubbed the Chaos storyline. So we have two different names for the different storylines, which is going to be so helpful, because we'll have the Ether storyline when we're talking about the good storyline, and when we're talking about the new storyline, we'll just have to say Chaos storyline. So it's going to be a lot simpler, especially for me, for someone who is very focused on storylines for zombies. Let me say one thing real quick before we jump into it, actually, because oh my gosh, if I sound a little less than enthused, there's a reason for it, and it's not because I'm not excited for what's happening in the trailer, but oh my gosh, the trailer itself was just so poorly put together. I mean, it was just a bad trailer. I don't know who put this together, I don't know who okayed it, but please make sure they no longer have a job in making trailers, because this trailer was just bad. There's no other way to put it. It was just a bad trailer. But of course, try to ignore all my less than enthusiasm, just because I am excited for what's in there. But my gosh, this trailer was just so poorly put together. But anyways, with that said, let's jump into this. So at the very start of the trailer, and for some reason we'll see this again, it's kind of like those Ollie intros where they go ahead, play this highlight of whatever's inside the video, and then also they come back to it later. It's kind of what happened here, but we won't come back to it because I'm not going to do that. But regardless, at the very start of this, you actually see this tiger which has red eyes. So this is confirming what we saw from yesterday, the teaser, just the red eyes that they teased out in the GIF. So it does look like this is what it is. I mean, I didn't really expect it to be anything more than this, so I mean, that's cool. We're getting a tiger and zombies that we're going to kill. I mean, tigers look quite frightening. I mean, I'm all excited for the tiger, but you know, it just has red eyes, nothing that special really about it. But then after that, you can actually see Shaw reviving Diego. So yay, we got reviving confirmed. Yeah, that was not expected. I'm just kidding, I'm just messing with you guys. But regardless, then we jump over after we get our little segue thing, Ollie style, you know, just go play that little music, and then you have to jump to the rest of it. But regardless, you see Voyage of Despair, and we get this pan over of this really big part of the map. And the more I look at this, the more I imagine just how big this map is. And I've already been told by multiple people, I'm not sure if this is confirmed or not, but Voyage of Despair is supposed to be the biggest zombies map ever, so this is going to be interesting. I just hope it's not a pain to get around. But regardless, we see this huge area of the map, and it's just the upper deck of the entire area, and there's a lot of things to point out here. And one of those is you could actually see some debris that is buyable, and the reason I'm pretty sure it's buyable, because why is debris on a staircase in the first place? But on top of that, it's glowing, so I do like that they have a glow to the debris. This is one thing I really did like about the Rise of the Rocket, just having that little glow to it. It was just really cool, so I do like to see that's returning. Another thing you actually see is there's wall buys here, and we'll see wall buys a bunch of different times throughout this trailer. But regardless, the main difference between these wall buys from right now and the past is that now they have a blue glow around them, which again is really cool. Of course, they always had that blue glow around them, but it's not like this standout-ish. So regardless, there's one other thing on this lower part of the deck that I just cannot make out what it is, but it does, if I had to guess, it looks like one of those statues. I'll zoom up on it for you guys, but I just can't make out what it is. It's a little green. Again, not too sure what to make of it, but regardless, it is there. But before we move on, if you let this continue to pan, it'll actually show you an even higher part of the Titanic area, and oh my gosh, this map looks bigger and bigger every single time, which is both exciting and worrisome for me. But regardless, the only thing you can make out here is the mystery box light coming up, which, I mean, we expected it, but it's nice to point out. But regardless, we see something we haven't seen before, but I'm pretty sure people were saying that Mr. Waffle Waffles has actually got this statue, but we just haven't seen it yet because he hasn't showed it, I guess. But regardless, you can actually see that we have an Egyptian god right here, which is probably going to be another one of those statues. People are speculating again to these to be what are they called, the perks, the perk vapors, I guess that's what they're calling them here. Personally, I hope that's not the case, because I mean, why would gods or goddess and whatever they're going to be, why would they only be perks? I mean, it feels like they should be something more, I guess. I mean, just something better than that. I mean, perks are cool and all, but whatever. But regardless, we see also this other goddess that we actually saw from, I believe, Mr. Dalek JD is the one who had the statue. The Irish goddess, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure what she is a part of, but regardless, we see her right there, so she is going to be in the map. Again, hopefully it's on a perk vapor. And then after that, we see this weird looking stuff. Of course, it's at the top of the ship where the rowing thing goes, even though I'm pretty sure that was inside a capsule area. But regardless, we see it right here on the top of the ship. We also see a nice shot of the moon in the background. But this black stuff is very interesting because then they start kind of really pointing out, like really making you stand out, because they show it just not only on the top of the ship, but we also see it within the ship in a couple different areas. But for what it actually is, I guess your guess is really as good as mine. I just don't know. It's just it could be really anything. But after that, we see another god statue, and of course this is going to be Zeus, which we have seen before. Of course, it was the first one we saw that was sent to, if I'm not mistaken, Noah J456. Of course, he's the one who saw this, at least I'm pretty sure it is. But after this, we see the mystery box, and the reason I'm showing you guys the mystery box, because I wasn't originally going to, but it's actually something I don't see as that much of great news. But as you can see, what's spinning through the box, it's just the normal multiplayer weapons. And this was a big thing this year because campaign was being taken out. We thought we were going to get even more for zombies, which still could be the case, but it looks like we're not going to get unique zombies weapons every single map. It looks like we're going to carry the multiplayer weapons throughout all of the maps also. So I mean, I don't have a really big problem with it, but it is a small letdown. But I mean, it's nothing too bad. But regardless, we actually see our first, I guess, wonder weapon. It may be a wonder weapon because it looks like there's going to be a lot of special weapons inside this game. But regardless, you can actually see it that you see, I believe, Scarlet is holding this weird handgun shotgun thing that explodes, and also this sword. So that's going to be pretty cool, using a gun and a melee weapon at the exact same time. I've asked for this in the past, but I didn't think they'd actually do it. So I do think it's actually quite cool to see that's the case. And I mean, it just looks cool. That's really all I could say about it. And then after this, you actually see this, I guess this glass just shattering and breaking. Of course, if you continue even further down though, you see even another lower level. And again, this is really stressing the size of this place. This place looks absolutely huge. But another thing to note is that you actually see that it looks like Shaw is using the Entangler from the Beast from Beyond, I think. Yeah, the Beast from Beyond. So that is something that's interesting, but it looks like it's just lighting them on fire. Maybe it's just a flamethrower with maybe more direct beam. But in all reality, it kind of looks like the staff that we'll be seeing later in this, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But regardless, you can see Shaw just attacking zombies with it, so it may double as a weapon. And again, we'll come back to that in a little bit. But then after that, we get another level even further under that, and oh my gosh, again, this map looks huge. But regardless, you see people swimming through it, and it does look like the Titanic is in the process of being sunk, so that's something worth pointing out. But you can see somebody swimming through it. So swimming is going to be back in zombies. Never was a fan of it, probably not going to be a fan of it in this map. So hopefully we don't have to stay in the water for any extended amount of time. So as long as that's the case, I'm going to be fine with it. But then after that, we have a glorified Molotov grenade. Well, I guess maybe, I don't know, but regardless, we see them throwing at the zombies. And we also see this wall by to the right of them, which it looks like there's a bunch of magical symbols around it. So it looks like the magical and alchemy symbols, or I guess just that, I guess, what's the right word to use here? Element is just going to be really standoutish. There's not only going to be alchemy, but there's also going to be magic. And this actually excites me because I've never really been a big fan of magic inside any sort of fiction or any time at all, really. But regardless, it does look like they are going to be playing on magic and alchemy, and I'm actually really interested in that because never in anything, no books, TV shows, anime, video games, it doesn't matter, nothing has ever played magic where I thought was actually interesting. So I'm hoping they go into this deep lore and background of the magic, because that's my main problem with magic all the time, is that we never have a good explanation for why this works. It's just like, oh, magic, which I guess that is the whole reason for magic, and maybe that's just the reason I don't like magic, because I don't like things I don't have a reason for happening. But regardless, it does look like those glowing things that I pointed out earlier in the video are actually magical symbols, and it's maybe going to be an explanation for why the wall buys are actually a thing. But then we see something very interesting. So after they throw the glorified Molotov grenade, you could actually see the gun this character pulls out, and I don't know if you guys notice what this is, but that's a bricky right there. That's a bricky. And if you guys played any time or spent any time at all in multiplayer, you can know that, oh my gosh, people are not a fan of that thing. But hopefully that this is just an early thing that we just are going to see this change in the future, because I do not want to see this break in the future. But if it is, then I don't know what to think of it. But regardless, we're going to move on from that because I don't want to focus too much on that. That's probably the worst thing we've seen inside this entire trailer. But after that, we can actually see this, I guess, this weird creature that kind of looks like the spider from Zetsubo no Shima again, and it's coming out of a zombie all over again. And this is very interesting because this is not on the 9 map. This is on Voyage of Despair. So this just may be our boss zombie. It's just going to be like the whistling of Black Ops 4. That's just going to be around and then jump up every now and then, just surprising you with these boss zombies. Or I guess not really the whistling, just more like the, what are they called? Any other boss zombie. I don't know why I said whistling, but regardless, it's going to be like the Panzer or something like that for these maps. So that's something I guess worth pointing out. So it does look like that thing is going to be kind of into all of the maps. Maybe it's just going to be these first 2 maps, I don't know, but it maybe looks like one of those things that we're going to see continued throughout the Chaos Story maps. So that is something worth pointing out. But regardless, this is where things get really interesting, because I know I'm mainly focused on the storyline, so this is what really caught my attention out of everything. And that's when they say use the staff, and they stab the staff into the floor. And I don't know if this is like some special area or not, but regardless, they stab it into the floor, or it looks like Shaw does, and it starts making this weird globe around them that we've seen in the past. And I at first thought that this was just a move for the, I guess just one of the power moves for the staff, but it may be something more, because after that it makes this weird glow, and all of a sudden the staff appears in 9, and they say time travel and all that stuff, and that is strange. So again, we thought, remember, if you guys think back to the 9 trailer, they inhaled the vapors and then were teleported into the 9 map. And I'm thinking that that may not actually be the way how they got there. That may not actually be how exactly this all happened. And maybe that's just a UI thing for when you're selecting your map. When you select your map, it just goes through that thing, which I'd be so happy for. But that's not going to be the real way of how we actually get into these maps. You can actually get into the map in an entirely different way. And this kind of makes me think that Voyage of Despair, well, I always assumed this, but I wasn't sure of it, but it does look like Voyage of Despair may take place before 9, and maybe 9 will take place right after Voyage of Despair. So maybe that's how it's going to work, because that's what's implying here. But of course, this may not actually be the case. And personally, as much as I want to believe it, I don't actually think it's going to be the case that we're going to go directly from Voyage of Despair to 9. I think there's going to be things happening between the maps that we're not aware of. But regardless, we do see a couple things here, and we do see this hammer that you see Bruno holding this hammer, and he uses it, and of course it looks a little powerful. So that's stuff we all seen. Well, we know this is actually the first time we've seen it, but regardless, then you see Diego using this new weapon, and it really makes me question, since we're seeing so many of these special weapons, are we just going to have these weapons equipped? Are these the special weapons that Jason Blundell talked about during the interview he had at E3, or is this going to be something that we get from the box or something like that? I'm really curious on how they're going to get them, because it does look like these are character specific things that only one character you get. Well, actually they don't look like that. I'm just assuming that. You do see Diego throwing one of the weapons, and it's killing zombies, and then the other one he just used as a normal melee weapon. But then we see even more of this 9 map, and of course I always expected the 9 map to be much more than a lot of other people thought. A lot of other people thought it was just going to be a melee only survival map, but it looks like it's going to be much more, because you see our characters go down to this underground area and seemingly fight the boss. And apparently this is a new thing in zombies, that they're showing the boss for these maps, which is very strange. Don't like it, but it's a thing. I mean, whatever. But regardless, you see the underground area, and they start shooting at this giant gladiator. But regardless, you do continue to see the characters to fight this giant gladiator guy, and they probably win. But before that happens, it just cuts to black, and that's where the trailer ends. So this is a kind of a weird, well, this breakdown has been taking way too long, but holy crap, 16 minutes. So I was going to go ahead and restart this video to make it shorter, but What the heck? Everybody got 16 minutes of time on them to watch a YouTube video, right? Of course you guys do. But I'm not going to make this video last any longer, so I'm going to go ahead and end it there. But I'd still want to hear what you guys think about this. Tell me what you guys think about the trailer. Do you guys like it, dislike it? What do you guys think of what actually took place in the trailer and all that good stuff? Leave those down in the comments. But if you guys did enjoy the video and at least found it entertaining in one way or another, then go ahead, do all the normal YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, bell, share, and especially bell. But I'm going to go, and I'll catch you guys in the next stream or video.